What is going on, YouTube? Andrew Miller from Hook'emHeadlines.com coming back at you. A late night video. Wanted to recap the Iowa State-Texas basketball game that happened here earlier tonight. Give just some of my initial post-game reactions, some quick analysis. Also did takeaways piece. If you want something a little bit more in-depth, I will link that in the description below. Texas ends up losing 78-67. This was a game where Texas came out of the gates really fast. They were looking pretty good there for about the first 5-10 minutes. You could even argue up until the 14th minute. There was a play in this game where the momentum really shifted, and I'll just go ahead and get this part out of the way to start because it's probably my least favorite part to talk about in this game, but it's something that does need to be talked about. And it's part of a bigger issue that I noticed in this game. That was a play at about the 6.5 minute mark, maybe 6:45, where Texas forward Dylan Mitchell went up to grab a rebound, and senior Iowa State guard Caleb Grill ended up kind of undercutting him. Initially, it was hard to tell what happened. The play happened kind of fast. And then at the other end of the floor, Grill ends up nailing a three-pointer. I was a little surprised at first when there was no foul call, just from a physicality and preventing injury, I guess a player safety perspective. And then I noticed it later, posted it on our Twitter, the actual video, and yeah, that looked dirty. I don't know if initially when Grill went in for that play that he was looking for something intentionally dirty, or obviously you hope not, but you look back at the video and you see him, kind of undercutting Mitchell with a maneuver that was very, pretty avoidable away from the basketball. And then you kind of see him take a look back and keep going down the floor as if nothing really had happened on his part. And just in general, this is basketball. This isn't football. It's not hockey. These sorts of plays, you got to let the player land. And player safety to me, I thought in basketball was a foregone conversation. I thought that we had moved past this, and it is honestly pretty disgusting to me that the baseline official was just standing right there looking at the play as it happened. Now, I say that, and I'm not saying that this play was the game changer completely, that this is the complete reason why Texas lost. That is not the case. I think it is part of a bigger issue in this game where, from a physicality perspective, it feels like the refs didn't have a good grip on it. There were multiple plays on both sides. I thought there was a collision. I don't remember if it was between Jaron Holmes and Brock Cunningham or who it was on the Iowa State side, but I thought that there probably should have been a foul called on Brock Cunningham. It ended up being almost like a body check sort of play. No foul called. Looked like at least one of the players was slow to get up. But anyway, kind of get out of this point of the conversation and maneuver it over just to kind of what happened in this game. So, this game was tight in the first half, and then Iowa State started to take control down the stretch. One very, very good adjustment that Iowa State made in this game was they started to double the ball a lot and play a lot of trap defense, and that really ate up Texas. Marcus Carr, Tyrese Hunter, even Timmy Allen, they were having trouble breaking the trap. It was getting Texas's offense cornered, even sometimes in transition, getting them out of whack, getting them pretty flustered. Jabari Rice also struggled with it at times. He had 3 turnovers on the night, which is, I think, about twice his season average. And so that was a great adjustment by Iowa State because Texas didn't really find a way to respond to that for a while, and it really got them out of sorts. Another thing, Iowa State, just after about the first 10 minutes, started hitting their threes. They ended up shooting about 38-39% from beyond the arc on the night. And once they started, getting the trap and getting the three-point game going, that's where Iowa State really started to set the tone and play the sort of game that they like to play. Iowa State is a very good defensive team. Me and Shane mentioned it on the show or on the preview show yesterday that Iowa State, they lead the nation in opponent turnover percentage, and that's there for a reason. It's almost 30%, which is pretty crazy. They're a very disruptive team, and that showed up tonight. They have some lengthier guards that are experienced and play very good on-ball defense. Their help defense was very crisp. And then, they closed off a lot of the easy passing lanes. I mentioned that in my post-game piece. And Texas, like I said, just really couldn't get anything going. Texas, for the fourth consecutive game, ends up shooting less than 30% from three, which is an issue. You saw Tyrese Hunter hit 2 3-pointers early. I believe that was within the first 5 minutes of the game. And then Texas ends up going like 2 of 15 from beyond. I believe it was 2 of 15 from beyond the arc outside of that. Carr hit one late that ended up snapping like a 10-minute field goal drought almost for Texas, which was just entirely too long to expect to be able to hang around with a team like Iowa State on the road. You can't have that type of drought from the field in the second half. Just the generic scoring drought that Texas had late. Yeah, they rattled off about 10 points in the final 2 minutes when the game kind of got into more of like a free throw contest. But the offense just wasn't there when it needed to be for Texas late. Once Iowa State started to clamp down defensively, Texas didn't really find a way to respond. It turned into a lot of things that we've seen from Texas in losing situations in the last 2 seasons, where you see Marcus Carr chucking up a lot of bad shots. You see some kind of frequent turnovers, longer scoring droughts. It's something that I was hoping was behind us, but against a better team like Iowa State on the road, you're running into an adverse situation in front of a really, really energetic crowd. It's the sort of thing that can happen. A few other notes from the game. One, Texas just too much foul trouble. Again, I have my qualms with the refs in this game. When you're playing a physical team like Iowa State, that to me doesn't scream like you had a great grasp on the game. When I think there were more than 50 fouls between the two teams, but I don't think the fouls were called in the areas that they should have been. But I digress on that. I've made my point on that already. Texas, they were getting out of sorts late on closeouts, and I think that was causing a lot of the fouls, poor positioning down in the paint, things like that, and just not being sound defensively after about the first 10 minutes of the game. You end up having Timmy Allen foul out. You had 3 other forwards or bigs with 4 fouls. 28 fouls is a season high for Texas, and the 30 free throws that Iowa State had also a season high for the Cyclones. So that obviously was an issue for Texas. And the last thing I wanted to mention is just the issues for Tyrese Hunter. I thought that you were going to see another good kind of outbreak for him offensively, and that did not come to be. It looked early on like he was kind of in that rhythm he was in against Kansas State, but after I believe it was like 9 points early after 2 threes and then a nice and one, he ends up finishing with 10 points on the night. So not what you want to see from him. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, no steals, no blocks. So he kind of faded away in this game after, like I said, about the first 5 or 10 minutes. So not what you want to see from him, but largely, this was a tough game for Texas. Iowa State remains undefeated at home. They're a good team at home, and they're just a good team in general. One of the surprise teams and one of the most well-coached teams in the Big 12. I mentioned it a lot. I didn't feel great about this game heading into it. I don't think that this result is a reason to panic. I hope that the Big 12 gets a better grasp on the physicality in these games and that the refs start doing a better job from that perspective to prevent any unnecessary injuries on both sides, on any side of the game. I also hope that Texas finds a way to prevent these scoring droughts. You got to find other sources of offense. You can't just be relying on Serge Rice and Marcus Carr to get cooking late in games. You still have to keep crisp ball movement. You still got to be more precise with your offensive sets in the settled half court. You just didn't really see anything with like dribble handoffs or anything in the screen game anymore. There really wasn't like any purposeful drives or set plays early in the shot clock. It was kind of a mess. A lot of ISO ball, dribbling out the shot clock, and then having to heap one up. A lot of that. So anyway, next game up, I believe, is this coming weekend for Texas. We got 2 games remaining before Texas faces Tennessee in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. The next game is on the road on Saturday against West Virginia. So hopefully Texas can get it turned around, get back to their winning ways. But anyway, for Andrew Miller at Hook'emHeadlines.com, that's pretty much it. Hook 'em.